Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick. The Hoosiers made their votes count in the 2020 election, a year in which the COVID-19 pandemic certainly changed both how and when Hoosiers voted in a big way. The Indiana Secretary of State's office estimating that more than 1.7 million Hoosiers submitted ballots by the end of the early voting period. And while the outcome of the presidential election nationally, at least at this taping, remains in limbo, President Trump easily won Indiana and its 11 electoral votes. Governor Eric Holcomb won re-election, marking the fifth straight gubernatorial win for Republicans. Now, how will the outcomes of those and other key races in Indiana impact the way Hoosiers do business? For some perspective, we turn to Ball State University Director of the Center for Business and Economic Research, Mike Hicks, and University of Indianapolis Associate Professor of Finance, Matt Will. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Good to be with you.
All right. Want to get your big takeaways. Matt, I'll start with you first. Is there a big takeaway you had from election night?
Yeah, the big takeaway I got is divided government. You know, the market really is more interested in stability than anything. The stock market likes the fact that things don't change a lot. And the fact that it looks like probably Biden's going to win and the Republicans are going to hold the Senate, from an economic standpoint, this is probably a good thing for the economy. So you're not going to see any dramatic changes. You're not going to see a very left-leaning agenda goes through. There's going to be compromise. You know, gridlock. The stock market actually likes gridlock. They like when things don't change. So I anticipate the result of the election is going to be some economic stability.
Okay. Mike, how about you? Your big takeaway?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the electoral results point towards a strong centrist approach. Both the Democrats and the Republicans who won seem to be from the middle of their party, or at least, towards a centrist position. And I think, as Matt said, that's going to point towards compromise. It's not a sweeping election for change in substance, maybe in style, but not in substance.
All right. As we're taping this, the presidential race still not decided, perhaps leaning toward a president-elect Biden. Mike, from your view, if you're doing business in Indiana, what's your anticipation in terms of the impact? He has talked about raising taxes. There's the prospect of stimulus. What about it? What's your potential impact there?
Well, I think the divided government means we're probably not going to have major tax reform. I think we'll probably have COVID relief earlier rather than later, and that'll make things better for the Hoosier economy. One of the things that I think is important is the Biden administration's apt to end the trade war, or at least seriously ratchet down the trade war, which will be very important for Hoosier manufacturers. And at the end of the day, Governor Holcomb is going to work with the Biden administration to try to promote Indiana interests. And I don't think this is an outcome that ought to frighten anybody who may be wary of Democrats. We're in a period of, I think, probably stable fiscal environment. If we can get past COVID, I think we'll see some recovery. But we're a long ways away from getting through COVID.
Yep.
Gary, I'm probably not quite as optimistic as Mike on this one. The concern that I have is a second lockdown. Because, Indiana bounced back pretty well. We're up to over 500,000 manufacturing jobs as a result of the recovery coming back from the lockdowns. If we have another lockdown, you're going to see municipal budget crises. You're going to see more small businesses closing. I mean, Yelp had a good report where they announced that 60% of the businesses that were closed during the lockdown are permanent closures. And, when a president-elect Biden announced that possibly that he's going to do another lockdown, I think that's a serious concern, and I hope he doesn't go that route.
As you look at it, Matt, I'll start with you. Obviously, Indiana, a very manufacturing-intensive state. Ag is a big part of the economy. As you look at those sectors in a potentially a Biden administration, your outlook?
Indiana is going to benefit in some areas and be hurt in others. The big benefit is going to be manufacturing logistics. As people are at home and they're ordering online, they're going to have to transport those goods. They're going to go through Plainfield and Greenwood, and it doesn't matter whether you're ordering something in New York or San Francisco. Everything goes through Indiana at some point. So on that side, it's going to be good. We're maybe a restructuring of the entertainment industry. We had a robust entertainment industry here in the state. We employed 82,000 people in travel and tourism. That number will be significantly impacted as a result of this. Tax revenues, visitors, the wages those folks earn. So we're going to see a transition away from that. It's very visible, Gary. but it's only 2.5% of our gross state product is in tourism. So I'm optimistic that the distribution, logistics, and manufacturing are going to really carry the day.
Mike, I'll give you the last word on this one. I'm curious your take, irrespective of who's in the White House. How about the impact on state finances, city and county finances coming out of the pandemic? I know the potential is very concerning. What's your take on how 2021 and beyond might look for municipalities?
So, look, we have to really admit, despite a lot of the rhetoric about a V-shaped recovery, about 1 in 6 Americans and about 1 in 6 Hoosiers who were working in January are not working today. They're either out of the labor force because of childcare or they've lost their jobs. And that's going to pose a huge economic risk on any recovery that a COVID relief bill will help mitigate. And we're talking about a loss of tax revenues for state and local government between 5 and 8% this year and next year. It's going to lag into 2022 and 2023. And since states have to balance their budget, as do local governments, this really will call for the federal government to come in to prevent school teacher layoffs, local government layoffs, and that sort of thing. So, right, I don't believe we ought to be sanguine about the short-term economy, but I do think that one of the things that's going to be critical to get us to the next step is a COVID relief bill and an end to the disease. That's really going to be the dampening activity on everything that we do, including any sort of economic improvement.
Mike Hicks, Ball State University, Matt Will, UIndy, great perspective. Thank you both for joining us. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.